War is a business that requires attention. Carelessness can make you easy prey for the enemy. Are you brave? This is not really important. What matters is how you use the courage. If you don't use your courage in the right way, you have everything to lose. Recently, we can see Russian soldiers facing this situation, and the Russian soldiers seems to be showing unnecessary courage. In fact, it's not just about the courage, it's a completely foolish behavior. As you may recall, recently, the intelligence chief of Hispaniola group lost his life because of these mistakes. This time, the focus is on the Russian Armed Forces, not a group directly from the Russian army. It is known that on the battlefield, ranking soldiers such as captains have a greater importance than non-ranking soldiers. However, recently a Russian captain was faced with an extraordinary situation, and the Ukrainian Armed Forces seized the opportunity and neutralized the Russian captain. So, what are the developments in this case? Let's analyze it together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you developments regarding Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily reports. You can also support me and my hardworking team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Thank you for your support, and let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. Ukrainian Armed Forces troops continue their critical operations with determination, and the Ukrainian Armed Forces have been striking heavy blows against the Russian troops in many regions, leaving the Russian army in a difficult situation. Russian troops are either surrendering or being annihilated by their own troops when they are trapped. In one of the recent incidents, the Russian captain was cornered during the fighting on the front line, with disastrous consequences for him. According to reports, this captain was carrying out his mission in the vicinity of Avdiivka, accompanied by his soldiers. As it is known, after capturing Avdiivka, the Russian armed forces intensified their offensives to advance further west. The Russian artillery and air force were carrying out intensive strikes against the Ukrainian positions west of Avdiivka. The situation in this conflict zone was becoming increasingly complex. Air power and firepower, of course, provide significant advantages in the battle, but they are not enough on their own, because if infantry troops are unable to establish complete control over a territory, the control established by the air power and firepower will be temporary. For this reason, the Russian army is constantly trying to expand its position through effective attacks and strong infantry offensives. In recent days, Russian captain Ivanov Alexei, who commands one of the Russian units carrying out this mission, has been part of these efforts. According to reports, Ivanov Alexei was in the charge of the 33rd Special Operation Detachment. Alexei and his soldiers were caught in an ambush by the Ukrainian soldiers west of Avdiivka. In fact, Alexei and his soldiers, as members of the Special Forces units, specialize in dealing with such situations. This time, however, things did not go as planned, and the Ukrainian troops managed to corner Alexei and his troops and led them into an ambush. According to reports, the fighting between the troops of the two armies continued for quite a long time, and the Ukrainian troops had gained an extremely good position, and Alexei and his soldiers were not doing as well. They could neither defend nor attack, and the position of the Ukrainian troops on the battlefield provided an important opportunity to destroy Alexei and his troops. According to reports, after prolonged fighting, many soldiers in Alexei's units were destroyed and many were wounded. However, there are an unexpected situation. Alexei was nowhere to be seen, and the Ukrainian Armed Forces troops were listening to the Russian channels on the radios of the wounded soldiers. The conversations that emanated from the radios of the Russian soldiers revealed that the Russian commanders were arguing Alexei to return, and some commanders even openly threatened Alexei. They made it clear that if he did not return, they would destroy him. Alexei, however, refused to return. The Ukrainian Armed Forces were conducting a coordinated operations with these drones following Alexei through the woods. Alexei had slowed down and tired during his escape, which allowed the Ukrainian military drone to catch up with him. By the time Alexei noticed the drone, it was already too late. After the bomb was dropped, Alexei was the first wounded, but with the second shot, he was completely destroyed. This was an example of the Ukrainian military's effective use of drones to achieve its objectives. With Alexei's death, an interesting detail about the Russian armed forces has once again come to the light. The Russian army offers its soldiers no choice but to advance, and even in the event of any casualties, they have no option to return back. If they go back, they will be confronted by the Russian soldiers again. In this situation, Russian soldiers are forced to take orders to exterminate their own comrades. This causes great pressure and demoralization among the soldiers. The armed forces of Ukraine are steadfastly resisting and working hard to end the Russian occupation of the country's territory. In this process, there is a marked difference between the Russian troops' participation in the frontline fighting through threats and blackmails and the Ukrainian soldiers' courage and willingness to fight. This clearly demonstrates why the Ukrainian armed forces have not been able to end the resistance for 2 years. As we mentioned in our previous reports, the Ukrainian armed forces recently dealt a heavy blow to the Russian army's Black Sea Fleet with the drone and unmanned naval vehicles attacks. New images and allegations have emerged regarding this operation. At this point, allegations that Russian intelligence made a mistake again are not on the agenda, but such reactions, which have seen frequently in recent times, also emerged during the attacks on the Black Sea Fleet. And according to reports, Russian intelligence had learned in advance that the attack would take place, but did not take this information seriously and did not share it with the Russian Navy. This once again highlighted the lack of a strategic coordination in Russia's military operations. Unofficial Russian sources are known to be outraged by successful operations of the Ukrainian armed forces against the Black Sea Fleet, and these sources are demanding the dismissal and persecution of the Russian intelligence officials. However, it is stated that the Russian administration is unlikely to take such a decision at the moment. And according to the military's expert, it is estimated that the Russian intelligence will continue its work at least until the Russian army gets some relief on the front line. So, how do you think the mistakes in the Russian army led to consequences in military operations? How does the inability to effectively manage Russian troops affect the overall performance? Do the successful operations of the Ukrainian army against Russian troops further expose weaknesses in the Russian military leadership? Do Ukrainian attacks on the Black Sea Fleet demonstrate the weaknesses of the Russia's naval power? What do you think about the ability of the Russian intelligence to collect and analyze sufficient information about the Ukrainian military's operations? Let me know in the comments, because I care and I read all of your comments.